Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk. I'm your host, Malynda, joined by my co-host, Karmel, who's calling in. What's up, Karmel?
Hello.
So this is our last episode of Season 2, our 40th episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of our little We Need to Talk family. Before we get going on our topic, I do want to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's Day.
A wonderful... Did you spoil your mom, Karmel?
Of course.
Okay.
Started off with breakfast. Made sure everything was nice and neat. Got her coffee together. She wanted to move the furniture around. Like, for some reason, all black mothers love to do once a week. I don't know what that is.
I was literally just telling John yesterday I wanted to rearrange our living room. I'm not kidding.
What, you just had a kid and it just comes right. That just happens now.
I don't know.
Just sparks up. I feel like moving the furniture around. I don't know what it is.
You know what it is for me though? It's when I see on social media other people's homes, and I'm like, ooh.
Okay.
I like how they arrange that, or ooh, I like the color of that, or we need to get this. He hates when I go over to people's houses, which I clearly haven't been doing in a while, but he hates when I go over to other people's houses, or if I look at like interior design stuff on Instagram, because I always immediately I'm like, I want to change this. We need to fix this. We need to redo this. We need to turn this around. Oh yeah, it's a thing.
Man, I guess. I mean, I kind of understand that. But my mom's got just this innate DNA in her. I think a lot of black moms have. Maybe that's how it starts. It starts off with going to other people's house, but then 30 years later, you just want to change it just because you woke up today. That's just the thing to do. It just looks weird to you today.
I think that's what it is, though. Like, I'll be looking around different rooms. I'm like, but I get kind of bored. I mean, in general, I like to change things up and have like a new, fresh look at certain things. So I think that's part of it, and that's part of it. So do you help her rearrange?
We didn't do it yet. I've kind of talked her out of it.
I love it.
Just motioned her back into the living room. Just sit down. We're going to have some lunch. Maybe we get to the couch.
You'll get to it eventually. Well, John spoiled me. We had a great Mother's Day, and he made me brunch and got me a really beautiful gift. He got me this beautiful ring that was all three of our birthstones.
Wow.
Yeah. I have to post it on social media. I haven't posted it yet. And then he got a canvas print of one of my favorite pictures of me and Sienna. So it was very sweet. Okay, very sweet. Okay. I know. I was like, okay, John.
Well done, John.
Yes. So, I wanted to do another fun, happy episode before we ended our season, but I don't think that we can go, into another episode without talking about the Ahmaud Arbery shooting case, which, if you haven't been paying attention, it kind of, I feel like it has become one of the bigger ones of an unarmed black man recently. I think finally people are like, oh, this is a problem. Like, as weird as that sounds, for some reason I feel like this one hit a lot of people because there really was no question in regards to what happened. So just to give a little backstory of what happened, Ahmaud Arbery, he's a 25-year-old young man. He lived in the Brunswick, Georgia area, a really small town. Not much sure how far it is from like Atlanta, the major city, but basically he was going for a jog in a neighborhood, and these two white men, they're a father and son, they basically pull up on him in a pickup truck, get out of the truck with shotguns, and they shoot him. And this happened February 23rd, I believe, and it just started going viral last week. Don't ask me why it took this long, because I hadn't even heard about it. I didn't know anything about this case. The video surfaced, and obviously I was furious. But it made waves all across social media, and finally, these two men were charged. Now, that's the backstory. There's so much that we need to get into.
So much.
Yes. So first and foremost, why did it take 2 months for them to be arrested?
That's the first thing I had to ask. So when I first saw it, like everyone who saw it, I'm like, and to kind of backtrack, I think one of the reasons why this is hitting so hard is if we just had a break. Like, it was just a break of not seeing this, because it was a time where we're seeing it every other week. There was just another dramatic shooting or arrest or something that was just, it just kept pounding. I remember saying this in one of our episodes that I think we're getting numb because we're just seeing it so much.
Absolutely.
So now, with all the other, pandemic talk and everything else going on, and then even the Kobe Bryant tragedy before that, it was just, we hadn't seen anything like this for a while, and it's just bam, and it's just completely blatant, unadulterated, nothing wrong here. Not like he's resisting arrest, not like anything you could kind of say, well, maybe if nothing. The good dude is jogging.
There's just
And
no question. It was straight up murder.
straight up murder. And so, yeah, why this? Then I didn't know this was 2 months ago.
I didn't either. And when I saw that, I was floored. I was like, so you mean to tell me that they murdered somebody and then they just went home to their families?
Yeah, just went home. And then like the whole story about how this got, they didn't want to prosecute the guys, and then this district attorney here is moving off, and like all this stuff is happening in these back channels to kind of keep this down. No one's talking about it, and I'm like, huh? Like y'all all okay with this?
Right.
Like I understand. I'll be completely honest that a lot of white folks don't like black people. I'm not new to that. That
Right.
happens.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But all y'all who saw this and knew this, when not one of y'all thought to say, yo, we need to do something. Well, I guess actually someone did. That's why this all came out. So eventually someone did say something, but it took 2 months.
2 months. I mean, and I think that I just have so many questions when it comes to this case because it's just so bizarre to me. So one, there was the person that was filming the video. How did the video get out? That's what I want to know. Like, if you were with, because apparently this guy that took the video was also an accomplice and friends with the father and son. So how did the video get released? Like, why did you come forward? Like, how did it get to go viral on social media? That's what I want to know.
I always ask that, and I know you always get on me about my critical thinking, but that's a thing I always ask about certain things. Like, people watch the video and they get, it's visceral and they get emotional, and I'm like, wait, who's filming this? Like every single time, I'm like,
yeah.
If it's a cop shooting, if it's someone, I'm like, okay, wait, someone's filming this,
yeah.
And how did they get this out? Like who gave this? Like no one's asking that question. I get what happened is tragic, but I'm like, someone was videotaping this.
Right.
And I remember saying this on someone's post where I first saw it. I said, that person either just happened to run up on this and was like, oh, this is crazy, or was following them.
Right.
So now it comes to find out it was this William Bryan who happened to be with these two of the dudes. And to me, I'm like, he's an accomplice.
For sure. Absolutely. Especially if you sat on the video for this long, you were with them, you saw them murder him, and then you did nothing about it. You're 100% an accomplice. Like, let's say that you thought, hey, because apparently the whole situation was that they thought that Ahmaud fit the description of someone who had committed some burglaries in the neighborhood back in January. So they followed him, they say, to question him and possibly make a citizen's arrest. Of course, I'm going to get into white people thinking that they have power in every situation in a second. But so let's say that that's all true, right? If you thought you were going to just confront somebody and had no idea that they actually were just going to end up murdering them, you absolutely should have left the scene and been like, yo, this isn't what I signed up for. This is not what I thought we were doing. If we thought he was a burglar, we were going to confront him. That's one thing. But you guys straight up murdered him. But no, you didn't do that. You sat on the video for 2 months, and now you're going to be in even more trouble because you're part of the crime. You're an accessory to murder.
Yes. So that got me thinking, like, okay, if, like, again, how did this get out? So evidently this local radio station was given the video and then they released it. So to me, it seems like, okay, William, I guess his nickname is Roddy. That's not Southern at all. Roddy gave this to someone who gave it to this local radio station to drop it out so people could see it, to get himself off. There's no other reason for him to do that. Let's say, okay, let's put it on them. Let's get the public to get upset, and we'll create this hope forever, and then we'll get these two guys arrested. But that somehow or another gives me some kind of immunity. There's no other reason why he would have done that.
Right.
Like if I have this video and I'm the one that's following this cat, why would I give that to anyone other than to protect myself?
True. That's actually a very good point. So that makes me wonder if that's what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, I didn't hear his name at all. Even CNN, a lot of other websites and articles that I read before this said that no one knew this guy's name. His name had never been mentioned.
Right.
And then just recently, I did some more research before we got on, and I saw his name being mentioned. I'm like, okay, there's something to that.
It's only talking about the McMichael father and brother. So I do think that there is a this is the critical thinking that makes sense, though, Carmel.
I'm
That
telling you, that's what I do.
no, but seriously, he could have got an immunity deal, 100%.
Sure.
I could completely see that, and we know that happens. I mean, that happens often, especially in criminal justice, criminal cases specifically. But just looking at the timeline, because I found a NewYorkTimes.com article that has the entire timeline of the whole situation, and apparently 2 of the prosecutors recused themselves from this case before it even became public. And then the second prosecutor actually didn't even find a reason to charge, and then he recused himself. So I'm like, what is going on in this situation? It doesn't make sense. And it wasn't until people have to remember this. It wasn't until this was on social media that this got any attention and that these 2 men got arrested. And
Yeah.
that's the power of social media, and that I think is a positive thing, because in general with the Black Lives Matter movement in a lot of these situations, none of us would ever know that they were happening. Ever.
Yep. No, yeah, no, we never would have seen this. We never would have known, and we just gone on, business as usual. So to me, yeah, I agree. This is where it's useful. The thing is, like, why did going back to the whole reason why this came out? That's what always makes me wonder when stuff gets released. Like, oftentimes we see like body cameras from cops,
which
where they do something
that has
wrong.
to go public. So we do.
It has to go public, right?
Right.
So this was not. This was this own dude's camera, and I always wonder, like, in any video I see, why do they just show this 33 seconds of something, or 47 seconds? I guarantee you, this person was videotaping long before this happened. Where's all that at?
Yeah, and that makes me
pretty sure that's incriminating. I'm pretty sure it's going to have this cat and them talking and going off, setting up. Just like, wait, they just all of a sudden decided to go home, get some guns, get 3 trucks, and this guy just happened. He was hunted. They
100%.
knew where he was. They knew what was going to happen. This was all a setup.
Yeah.
That's why the dude's video just starts right when they start shooting.
Exactly, because you know that there's going to be prior conversations of them having, like, oh, let's go out and see, It's like you said, he was hunted, because you know that there's conversations on the video that show that they were just planning to do this.
Of course.
And it could have been any Black person. It could have been, he just happened to be the unfortunate, unlucky brother that was running through the neighborhood during that time.
Now, there's some talk of that there was, like, prior altercation between him and I guess one of the younger son, Travis, or something like that.
Ah, okay.
So, like, I guess he or someone had prosecuted there was some kind of case where he and one of them was involved in. And this is one thing I don't like that the news does. And I've saw this in some articles. I guess Ahmaud had some kind of, like, background with a gun charge, something that was dropped. So they kind of used that. So yeah, he had a criminal background. No, he didn't. Someone tried to get him on something else, and they didn't. So I almost feel like this was like a revenge. This was like, okay, you got away on that one, but I'm gonna show you we're gonna get you on this. And then this dude ran. I guess he ran through some houses, came out the back way. Which back in that area, that's just the normal. It's just there's no regular roads in Brunswick. There's got 15,000 people in the whole town. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of back roads. Even the street that you see he's running down looks straight out of Ozark. So it's just some random road.
Right.
And there's 2 trucks there, and it looks crowded with those 3 trucks. So these guys know it's probably where he runs on a regular basis.
Right.
And they catch him and then just execute the guy.
So your critical thinking mind, do you think that they targeted him because of whatever the previous situation was?
And that makes sense, because, like, why would you? I mean, yeah, you could just go find a black guy to shoot if that's your thing. But if there's some kind of precedent or history with you and this guy, then it all makes sense. And then this guy, I guess the dad, was a police officer for 7 years and then worked as an investigator for this same department. So he also knew about it. Yeah. That's why those 2 people recused themselves. It's like, oh, shoot, these dudes went out and actually executed this guy that we were trying to pin this case on before. So then it all starts coming together, like, okay, you all had a plan, and these other people just dropped out. Like, oh, these cats is crazy. They went through and did, more than we had asked them to do. We just want to pin this guy put him in jail for a few years. They went out and just killed him.
And so going back to my original statement that I made about, white people always getting involved and thinking they have authority with situations, I do find it, I mean, we've seen that, in the last year, we make up hashtags, barbecue Becky and, like, pool patty or whatever. But let's talk about this for a second, because there is a serious issue with authority, with them thinking that if something's out of line, that they have the right to tell you you can't do something, to tell you that this isn't okay, rather than, if you want to be a tattletale, fine. If you think something's
Mm-hmm.
not happening, like if you want to call, a store manager or call the authorities, if, like, let's say somebody's not wearing a mask when it's been said that we all need to wear masks, right? For example, if you want to do that, fine. But if you think that you have the right to go up to somebody and, like, maybe assault them because they're not wearing a mask, that's not okay. So for these guys thinking, oh, this guy looks like, somebody that's been doing that did the burglaries the month before, why do you think that you are in a position to go and deal with it? Call the cops. Just call the cops. And I hate saying that because obviously I don't want the cops to be called on black
Mm-hmm.
people just based on speculation, but that's their job, quote unquote. It is not your job as a regular citizen to take that into your hands, because this is what ends up happening. I mean, it ends up
Yeah,
happening
and
with cops too, but I just don't know why they thought that they had the right to do that.
well, it's I guess it's also consistent with the South, and
True, true.
with Zimmerman, and that being in, I
Mm-hmm.
think, Florida, right, and Trayvon. So now we're in Georgia having this issue, and I think this will also probably raise a lot of people up talking about gun laws and the Second Amendment. Where a well regulated militia is necessary to secure a free state.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what these guys are going to jump on. Well, I have my right to protect my town, protect my city, yada yada yada. But yeah, that's not what this is. You're going out executing people just because they don't look like you.
Right.
This is not protecting your city or your state. This is not protecting your family. No one was being attacked. Because I get all that. I get
And
protecting
it's all
yourself.
based on assumption as well. Like,
Pure assumption.
yeah, which is the biggest thing that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't make any kind of assumption, because it's just going to put you in this type of situation.
But see, in this one again, that's why I'm like, is it really assumption? Because there's a history here.
Yeah,
So there's something else going on. Because
I
like,
do
yeah,
want
it
to know
could have
more
been any
about that.
black man, but like, you have to believe that they thought, okay, we can get away with this, and they probably were.
They
Because if it
did
had
for
been
two
2 months,
months.
right? If it was 2 months, and the people who are connected to it were dropping off, like they don't want to deal with it, like something must have been happening. Like I said with William Bryan, to make him go, okay, look, give me immunity. I'll leak this out. They won't know it's me. We'll give it to this radio station. Y'all do it, but I want immunity.
Right.
That has to been going on here because, like, why would you pick this guy? Like, why now? Why
So,
is this happening?
so I
Like,
have another question, because I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time in the South. I've definitely gone down there. I've done some shows down there, but like in the more, liberal areas. But I was talking to John about this, and I guess, again, I don't know if this would be part of the culture, because I know it was like back in our parents' time, like in the 50s and
uh-huh.
60s, to brag whenever you did assault or get a black guy. Like, could you see that being the situation where maybe they just got in trouble because they were, they thought their shit didn't stink, because they were like, oh, hey, we got this black guy, look at this video. You think that there's this
that
level
that
of, like, bragging that was
that's
involved?
not impossible too. I mean, you remember we talked about the kid who burned down the church way back
Mm-hmm.
when.
Yeah.
That what if that was a rite of passage? What if
Yeah.
it was something he had to do to get in the Klan or whatever? I don't put that past that either. I
Yeah.
mean, and because what's going to happen is if the sentencing is not just, that's exactly what it is. So hey, you guys do the thing, yada yada. We'll put some money in your accounts. Maybe you do 5 years, you get out, and you'll be a rich man.
Right.
That's not impossible because there's precedent. It's
Yeah.
happened so many times. We've seen this
Yeah.
time and time again where these people do stuff. They go away for a little bit and they get out. And then, I mean, not to say we see movies where that's being portrayed, because most of those movies are based on true stories.
Right.
So we know this happens. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another possibility. All of it just points to the whole issue with this whole country is there's so much racism that's so deeply embedded into the fabric of this country that when people see it, they're so shocked. We're like, yo, we've been telling you this. Like, this is not news to us.
And it's not going to go
How
away, because it keeps trickling down, because you know that the father got it from the grandfather got it from his father, and then the father who and the son, he gave it to the son. So it's just going to keep happening. And if that son has kids, it's going to keep passing down. It's literally a part of some people's family trees and in their DNA to just think this way about people of color. And it's not going to
this
go away anytime soon.
this is 100% a father and son hunting trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I know that sounds morbid to say, but that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is not, again, this is the one we've seen. This is the one that made the news. This is the one that
Right.
actually came out. This is happening a lot that
It's
we don't
happening
know
right
about.
now. It's happening right now as we speak.
Yeah,
I guarantee
right
it.
now, guarantee you.
I mean, you just think about it, like, especially during our parents' time, how many times this must have happened. They didn't have phones, they had no social media. They had newspapers, but they aren't going to print, like, oh, a black person was lynched or murdered or killed. They didn't give a shit. So now that we have phones and now that we have people kind of on the ready with being able to film and with social media and posting, of course, we're hearing about this all the time. And people, like you said, will continuously be shocked, but we're like, we were telling you this from the beginning. This has not ended. And people act like the 60s were like 500 years ago.
Right? Like
Like,
this was not. What's funny is someone was talking about the song "Strange Fruit" by Billie
mm-hmm,
Holiday,
mm-hmm.
and I'm like, you know what that's about? And they're like, no. I'm like, lynching, taking people from trees.
Yeah, the
Like,
strange fruit is black
what?
people. Yeah.
Right, and they're freaking out. I'm like, yeah, that was. I mean, she recorded that in like 1940, something like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But then people are starting hearing about it now because the movies. This wasn't that long ago. There's people who are alive that heard that song.
Right.
So I'm like, this stuff is not. Yeah, because I think people feel like this is so archaic and it's medieval. I'm like, no, this was just 50, 60 years ago, and evidently still today, 2020, still happening.
I will say at least 2020 in general is consistent because this year has been something else. And it's
People were
only May.
so people were so excited about 2020. They were hyped. They were ready, and it's been
Well, because
month after month.
I would say 2019 is kind of, went downhill a little bit towards the end. We're okay, 2020, like, it's 2020, it's going to be a good year. And then it's just like, yeah, right. Everything's happening. I mean, what happened in the beginning of this year? I mean, I would say even since, like, from, like, when Kobe died on, it's just been nonstop. I mean, and even
Yeah.
this weekend, like, we lost Andre Harrell, we lost Little Richard, and then we lost Betty Wright. Like, black music is taking a hit right now. So,
Yeah.
somebody find Stevie Wonder, please, and
Oh
just
my God! Don't say that. Yeah.
we need to put in quarantine really for seriously Stevie Wonder, Morgan Freeman, and Cicely Tyson. Those three need to be protected at all costs.
Yes. Yes. Ah, man. When you say it like that, it's funny, but it's not.
I
Like
know. I
we are
know.
losing our
We
greats.
really are. We really are. This has been a tough year. Okay, so I want to kind of connect this act of murder. I'm just going to call it what it is, but also with the pandemic, because I'm curious if you think, because I had this thought that, like, with masks, for example, we all now having to wear masks. Do you think that that's going to up the fear of black people?
Hmm. Hmm. So keep going with that. Wait, what do you mean exactly?
So,
I
like,
kind of.
yeah, so we're all wearing masks. There's already this kind of, like, for example, I mean, you are not a threatening black man, but to some people you're going to just be a threatening black man because you're a black man, right?
Sure.
So
Right.
now you're a black man in an elevator wearing a mask. Do you think that that's going to give an extra level of fear to, let's say, just a middle-aged white woman that might clutch her purse?
Sure. Sure. What's funny is someone posted a meme of some Crips and Bloods wearing masks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because they look intimidating. But I'm like, that's me. I'm walking out with a mask in the
Yeah.
store. I'm like, I don't realize that because people. I often tell this to people. I don't see my blackness.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm looking out of my skin. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't think much about it till I see someone's reaction.
And you're like,
So then
oh,
I'm
oh
like,
yeah.
oh, that's right.
Right.
Dang, that's what I look like. So yeah, I mean that's another thing. I didn't really put that correlation together, but I see it now. If there's more racial, tensions going up and pressure going up, and then we're already having to deal with certain things that makes us feel like insular and like I got to protect myself. That's just another layer that's going to be added to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that being the case.
Yeah, it's something I was thinking about the other day, and it started to worry me that it made me fear a little bit. Like, gosh, what if it puts black people actually at more risk? I mean, opposed to the coronavirus, but just like from people like having racial biases already. You could think like, oh, is he protecting himself or is he coming to rob me? It's like, no, I'm trying not to get the Rona. I ain't thinking about you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get like this virus. I'm not trying to rob you. So yeah, I do wonder how it will change people's perceptions or just make it even worse as far as racial
Well,
relations
see,
go.
let's look at like Trayvon wearing a hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Exactly.
anybody else wearing a hoodie is not a big deal.
Right. Right.
Now look at us wearing masks. And a black man wearing a mask, the media has portrayed us being robbers and thieves already, and typically robbers and thieves wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now we're having to wear masks and walk outside. I'm like, it's crazy to think that you just said I'm not trying to get corona. we were always just trying to do something else when we're getting like accused and like beaten and killed. I'm like, one guy's just trying to walk. One guy's trying to sell some fruit in the corner. This dude just trying to go. We're always just trying to do normal everyday things that y'all do.
Right.
But because one of y'all don't like the way we do it, we're dead.
Right.
Like what?
Right. Now, here's the other side of it, and this is for anybody. Do you think that there could be an up in crime because of the masks?
I think. See, you're gonna bring some other stuff out of me with this whole thing because there's so much that's happening
Stay focused on
because
the
of this
question.
stuff that's creating other things that are issues more so
Yeah.
than the issue it started.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest issues with this whole thing is like you're bringing up other stuff that wasn't an issue because you're forcing this on people. So yeah, I think crime's definitely gonna go because when people are just pissed off and tired. So then
True.
that makes people want to do stuff that they wouldn't have been doing if you just let people go on and do their own thing.
True.
And I get taking precautions, but like, I talked to someone today about, the whole conspiracy theory versus, the overblown pandemic issue, whatever. I'm like, where's just rational people? I just want people to be in the middle. Can you just be rational? I don't want people yelling at me about conspiracy theories and sending me another video that's crazy. I also want people yelling at me, people are dying, and screaming at me. I just want rational thinkers.
I think there are rational thinkers. And like I said,
As far
that's
as
why I
you,
like NPR. So I really enjoy NPR because I do think, as far as news sources go, they are straight down the middle and are just fact based. I really,
100%.
yeah.
And when you mentioned that, and we talked on Facebook, I was like, yeah, I'm with that. But the thing is, most people aren't posting that stuff. They're posting something from Fox or another conspiracy video. And I will watch and listen to both. And I will read and understand both sides and try to figure out, like, why do you think so hard this way? And why do you think so hard that way? And typically it's because people right now are just emotional. So yeah, I think crime's gonna. Well, we know domestic violence in homes is up. Child abuse is up.
And
So once
that's
people get let
been my
out,
big concern. Yeah.
and now we have racial issues to add to that. I mean, thanks. Like, what else? Like, it doesn't bode well for us coming out of this
It doesn't, but
unless
I feel
somehow or
like
another we get a hold of it.
I feel like we're doing some sort of a cleanse, honestly. Like the whole world is doing a cleanse. Honestly, if you think about it, I mean, it's even though it's this is terrible to say, but I feel like the coronavirus isn't taking the right people. But that's another conversation. God bless them.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the world is doing a cleanse because even if you look at it from like an environmental standpoint, like pollution in Los Angeles was down by 80% because less people were driving. You know what I mean? And like there were pictures in Italy of like dolphins and swans and stuff coming into the Venice canals for like the first time in I don't even know how many years because there was nobody was there throwing trash. There were no boats coming in. So there's things like that that I think beauty is kind of emerging from this situation that I hope that once we go back to what our former reality was, that we don't forget and that we don't take for granted the things that we learned. I feel like I've connected more with a lot of my friends and family now than when I actually had the opportunity to see them face to face,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think positively. Yes, we are all exhausted. We're all emotional. We're all on the brink of going crazy because, I mean, Drexel posted the other day, he was like, I don't want to see this apartment ever again. He's like, I may move after this is over. And I'm like, I get that because, like, we just bought a house and I'm already like, these walls are caving in, so I get it. But I do think that people need to take a step back and look at the positive because like I said, I feel like the world is doing a cleanse, so to speak, to kind of just get us back on track to take care of each other, take care of ourselves, take care of the environment. So
Well, I know
yeah.
for like there's a lot of even biblically that talks about giving the land time to rest and
Yeah.
a year of jubilee and a year like those things are naturally. And I was mentioning this to someone else about just not even the Bible, but there's a lot of like spiritual truths from the Bible that have come from ages and ages before that. Just they're natural things we should be doing. One is letting the land rest because it comes back and it's more healthy. But because of capitalism, we don't do that. So I would hope that's the case, that we can just see if we pull back some time and allow the land to fast in a sense and just to rest. People in general, whether it's work, whatever, just our entire ecosystem is just allowed to rest periodically. Things will look a lot different. We won't have to struggle and fight in so many different areas because the land will just naturally give us those things that we're looking for, and that's that those thoughts have to permeate our system now, and the people who share those have to be the ones who come to the forefront and affect change in our government, because that's where it's going to happen.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't know that's going to happen because money makes people do other things. Like, I know there's a whole conspiracy talk about depopulation. Because, and someone will say, well, if you look at our population now, it's too much for the place we have. And then if you look around, the environment's better. And they'll use the same thing you just said to support their agenda for basically getting rid of people. And I'm like, that's not what we need to do. We just need to chill. Like, we can just back off of stuff and not be so money hungry to let things rest. We wouldn't have to actually get rid of people.
Which, I know you're a fan of Bill Burr, right?
Yes.
He talks about that all the time.
Oh, really?
He talks about the population issue. That's like one of his shticks in all of his stand-ups. He's always like, I have been bitching about the population issue in this world for like 3 specials in a row. And he like jokes about it now because he always would say he's so pro like a plague or a pandemic. And then it happened. He was like, I didn't mean it. Like, it's actually really funny.
Oh, wow. He just sourced this.
Yeah, he kind of did. But yeah, I mean, I have thoughts about like the population. I don't necessarily say it's an issue. I just think that we're not, maybe the right people aren't being bred.
Yeah.
So to speak.
You hate to say that. But
Yeah, I do hate to say that, but I think, if we all take a step back and just do the right thing and do right by each other, it would make a difference. But unfortunately, you do have greedy people. You have people that, don't care or have compassion for others, and so it makes living in general a lot more difficult. Yeah,
because I remember this in high school. One of I think it was my econ teacher or government teachers talked about how everyone's political system, it was Marxism, socialism, fascism, all these ones we've ever studied or listened to, in and of itself, if you just did it in a vacuum, they would all work. The problem is people.
Interesting.
It's just people. Someone gets in there and just jacks it up and convolutes the whole system itself. But if you just did one of those, it's almost like working out. A lot of trainers say, hey, just pick a workout and do it. Mm-hmm. The problem is people just don't do it. Right. They want to eat or they want to do something else. Like, you just pick something and do it, you'd be fine. But the problem is people.
Right. It's interesting. This is totally going off a different tangent, but it's keeping on the point of it's people that are the issue. That's how I feel about like religion, for example. I have a lot of friends that have walked away. Like, I consider myself a Christian, but I have a lot of friends that have walked away from Christians and from Christianity as a whole and don't believe in God anymore. And I'm like, well, why don't you believe in God? And they're like, well, when I was at church, this person, that I was like, but those are people. You know what I mean? Like, God never said anything about you. God never said he didn't love you. God never said anything. It's the people that are telling you this. So I completely get it, because I think that if people realize, okay, God's not the issue, it's Sister Mary over there, or this pastor that was saying this or whatever. People can have their own religion and their own practices and their own spirituality at home. You don't really need a church community to have a relationship with God or believe in anything. It is 100% people that ruin that experience.
100% agree. I just had the same conversation with someone about my kind of leaving of the church, and I said it was church. It wasn't the Bible.
Yeah.
It wasn't the truths and the things that I learned about, because I said, if I just read the book by myself, like if someone just gave me the book, sat me in a room, and no one taught me church, no one taught me Christianity, if I just learned it on my own, it'd be way different. But because I went to a church and I had to deal with people, and I had to deal with, people making the pastor an icon and worshiping him, and he's just a regular dude like me, and then things just trickle down. That's what jacks people up. It's not the Bible.
Right.
And I even had the conversation with, like, being told it's only one way. I'm like, what language does God speak?
Right.
He speaks all languages, right? Well, what religion does he choose? Why wouldn't it be all of them? Right? It's that very nature of saying, no, it's just this way, and slam it into someone's head. It's the same thing we have with racism.
Yeah.
No, we're superior. We're superior. They're inferior. Like, a kid doesn't know that. Right. My babies weren't taught that.
Yep.
So why is your baby know? Because you taught it to them.
Exactly. So
yeah, it is people.
It's all trickling down. So before we wrap up, I want to go back to Ahmaud Arbery's case real quick, and because I want people to realize, yes, we can be excited that they got arrested, but I wasn't that excited because, again, it took 2 months. But also, we've seen this happen before. Like, you brought up George Zimmerman. He was arrested, and then he didn't get convicted. So I Personally, I don't see how they won't get time and won't get sentenced because the video is clear as day. But I'm curious how you see this case going.
To be honest with you, how many other cases have we seen that seem so cut and dry, and not even to get a small sentence, but just completely let go?
There's only been one, actually, and I forget the young brother's name that was murdered. I think it was Jordan, the one that was playing music in his car, and the white man. He was the only one that got put away for life.
Yeah, that's rare. Yeah. It's really weird. Like that's the rarity that happens.
Yeah.
So my thought is this. Like, again, I'm gonna put on my critical thinking hat for a second. If it comes out that these two guys are just completely let go, do not be surprised that there's not a huge race riot down in Georgia and the South in general.
Yeah.
And if that's not something someone wanted to happen, I would be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're getting ready to have an election coming up. So it would be appropriate to cause some kind of riot happen and just somehow or another create a distraction and just divide us even more so. I would hope they get something that's appropriate to the crime they committed, but based on recent history, it's likely that it won't happen. But let me just say, if it's a George Zimmerman thing where they just get let go,
and they get to walk away, yeah, it's going to be really, really bad because it is 2020, and I think Black people have had it.
No, yeah, we're done. We've seen too much, and we're not. And it's funny because each video I see of like cops arresting people now. There's one like in New York where cops arresting, again, just standing in the corner,
mm-hmm.
and you could see people in the video not really backing off like they used to.
Oh yeah, like they're standing up even to
cops, and I'm like, yo, it's gonna get to the point where there's gonna be a bunch of brothers who are armed and ready to go. I'm like, yo, if we see that in our town, we're gonna go to war, and they're gonna go to war. So that might just happen. I would hope it doesn't, but it's getting close when people are saying, no, I'm done. I'm cool. Whatever happens, let's go.
I absolutely agree. So we're going to have to wait and see because, these cases take forever, and I'm sure they're using the pandemic as an excuse to not move forward yet, but we will wait and see. But Karmel, great second season. It's always a pleasure to talk with you and disagree with you. But we will be back in a couple weeks, and we'll start season 3 off. But you guys stay home, stay safe, and we will talk to you soon.
That'd be good.